We're going to be talking about the churches of Revelation. Okay, they are all located in the same area, and that's not a coincidence. Okay, we're talking about churches that were heavily persecuted by the Roman authorities. If you look at a Turkey's map, you will see that these 7 churches are located quite close to each other. We know that anciently it would be possible to travel from one to the other in 2 days with a fast horse that you have, which means that when we had a persecution in one city, they were capable of communicating actually quite quickly, okay, between the others, letting them know that the Romans are coming, okay. You will see them, they are very well located. Laodicea is the first one that you will get to know. This is a city from the Hellenistical period. The founder of Hierapolis, Antiochus II, we call him, after he divorced Hiera, he got married with Laodicea, another famous beautiful woman from the area, coming from one of the royal Greek families. Most archaeologists think that the city was dedicated to Laodicea. That's why it's called Laodicea. Okay, you already know this tradition with the dynasty of Antiochus. They love naming those cities after their relatives. This is the second, exactly. As you can see, it is not that far away from Hierapolis. Okay, this is the region where we went yesterday, where you took off the balloon. Actually, I don't know if you saw, but in the balloon sometimes it's also possible to see Laodicea, this archaeological area. So Hierapolis is not that far away. Between these 3 cities that we have in the Lycus Valley, that is the only one with the hot water, but we know that they would send the hot water to the other cities, okay? If you visit some archaeology museum in downtown Denizli, in the modern city, you would find some pipes of this site, actually. All of them are covered with travertine because of the minerals that we have in the water. So it was true that the waters that we have in the city was lukewarm, okay? This is not just a metaphor. The water will be lukewarm inside of the city. This is the important thing about the letters that we will read from now on. Please do not consider them purely biblical documents. They have very strong influences on the written history, and they possess a lot of references to the actual history of the city. Okay, so the water was actually lukewarm inside of the city. We know that it was founded in the 3rd century BC. During the Roman time, it gained a lot of importance, okay? People wanted to come here in order to enjoy the hot waters, but they treated Laodicea as a financial center, okay? If you are someone who is trying to sell your products, you would come to Laodicea first, mainly because of the Jewish existence, okay? Because the Jewish people of the city and also Jewish people of the Hierapolis, they had a lot of contacts. So if you're selling fabrics, for example, you can come here and they would tell you which city you should go, which product is better for which people, actually. So in order to get this information, they used to visit Laodicea. Also, they treated this place as a huge financial center. Cicero, in his letters, explains to us that people used to have this big Zeus temple in this region, and it used to work as a financial center too. In a Roman city, the temple is the securest place, very well defended by the soldiers. So this is the reason why most of the Romans, they used to leave their money inside of temple too. Okay. When we go to Ephesus, I will explain to you in detail, but the famous Artemis temple that we have in the Ephesus, it actually worked like a huge bank, okay? Loaning people actually money, giving them money, taking their money with high interests. So temples have this function. For us, a religious building, a bank is something different most of the times. But actually for them in the Roman society, they used to have this diverse functions. And Laodicea serves as a very important center. We know that the residents of the city were quite rich. I'm talking about rich, okay? Not just rich, because I told you that the cities were destroyed by the earthquakes and they had to rebuild. And in order to do the reconstruction process, they usually ask for money from Rome, okay? Cicero, in his letters, explains that the city was destroyed by the earthquake, but they were so rich, they never needed money. They were always capable of reconstructing their places, okay, with their own money. So they have money, but they are not that good in the letters, right? They are blind, as you will see when I read this document, we will see. But keep in mind that between all the cities that you're going, after Ephesus, I would say, this is the richest one. Okay. They used to have a lot of commerciants living in the city and financing this huge building constructions, financing this huge temple. That's why you can see all of these columns all around you. Cicero was here in 51 To me, it's fascinating that Cicero and St. Paul more or less passed from the same area
51
during
AD.
the same period, because in the year 50-51, St. Paul was just preparing himself for his second missionary journey. Okay, so at that time Cicero was here in order to administrate some justice. He was participating some important occasions in order to act as a judge, and he wrote loads of letters from here. And he also mentions of colerio, some type of medicine that was used, okay, in order to treat the sicknesses, the illnesses related to the eye. Okay, so if you have problems with your eye, Cicero explains that you would come to this place, Laodicea, in order to find some good doctors. Okay, as I told you, most of our information is coming from Cicero. This huge earthquake also destroyed in the 1st century the entire city of Laodicea. During the Byzantine times, we know that it was an episcopal center. The church is right there. Right now I will take you there. They made a very important ecumenical council inside of that church. When we go there, we will talk about it. And they sent a lot of representatives to the Constantinople during 4th, 5th, and 6th century. Laodicea disappears from the sources at 10th century, 9th, 10th, I would say. Probably they just left the entire area, and this river who was feeding actually the entire cities here, it dried up on that period, so they didn't have a lot of use for the city. Laodicea was so famous, we never lost it. So the archaeologists did not make any excavations in order to find Laodicea. Okay, so we always knew that it was here. They made the excavations in order to find some more remains and in order to reconstruct the city. As I told you, between all the Greek cities, this is the only one that was excavated by a Turkish university, so that's why Turkish people are quite proud of it. They started at the beginnings of 2000. At 2008, they opened the entire region as a museum. And the excavation continues. Excavation never ends. Okay, they started digging Ephesus in 1850s. They are still digging some parts of it. So that's what's going to happen with Laodicea, because the cities are big and they are discovering more and more monuments. I would say they are lucky, because most of the reconstructions that you will see all around you, it's like almost 60% original material. Not always the case. When they dig something, when they found the construction, most of the parts are missing, as you might imagine. It looks like a puzzle. In that case, they always have to use some new parts. So in Ephesus, you will also see the same type of reconstruction. And it is really not that difficult to see the difference in between. In a marble column, you would see some ancient marble, but on the bottom, sometimes we have wooden sticks, sometimes we have metallic pieces, sometimes we just have a regular stone. Okay, so all the cities are reconstructed this way, so this is why you're going to find a mixture of materials. In the archaeological site today, we have 2 temples dedicated to Zeus. Okay, actually they are not very sure if it was Zeus or not, because they did not find an inscription. Okay, but Cicero mentions the cult of Zeus, and they found a lot of statues of him during the excavations. That's why probably we think that those were the temples of Zeus. For now, they just named it Temple A and Temple B. Okay, this is Temple B, what you're seeing right over there. And this is Temple A. You would find some columns over there, a tiny Medusa head, and some inscriptions from the area. They are still continuing to excavate. What you can see on the right hand side of me is the church, okay, the Byzantine church. Right now I will take you there. To the other side that we will not go, city is big, okay, it's continuing towards there. You would find some ruins of the Agora. This is the marketplace, okay. You would only find the base of a synagogue, which was built by the Jewish population of the city in 2nd century AD, more or less. You would also find a nice fountain dedicated to the Emperor Hadrian, okay? But that's a little bit far away. In Ephesus, I will show you nice stuff. For now, we can just focus on the church, which is the most important part, okay? The street that you just crossed, it's called Syrian Street. When we go to Ephesus, you're gonna find another Syrian street, okay? During the Roman period, most of the merchants coming to the city, they were from Syria, heavily from Syria. That's why in most of the Roman cities in Asia Minor, you will find this Syrian street. The street that we crossed possibly had shops in both sides. Okay, during the excavations, they also found some tiny buildings. They think that they were probably shops. So that was one of the most commercial streets. And the stones that you could find in the ground, they are very well protected, actually, considering that the city is older than 2,300 years. Okay, so any questions so far?
So the columns have been here, they didn't have to dig for them?
They had to dig for them.
Okay.
This was just like a mount, just like
Okay.
Colossia. Okay, they came here, they started digging. But my point is, they already found inscriptions in the 19th century. The persons, the people who used to live here, they were using the material of the city. That's why I told you that Laodicea was never lost. It was
Okay.
quite well known that it was here. It was just an issue when they would find financing in order to excavate the city. So yes, they were all in the ground, buried, okay, inside the mound. They took them out, cleaned one by one, and they start putting pieces together.
So the top of the mound would have been this or above,
Above us.
above us.
Above us.